Hey, what's up, folks? Just getting ready to go for a putt on my Ducati Monster. Just pulled it out of the shop a minute ago. Hadn't been on this bike in a minute too, but it's a lot of fun. This is a 2020 Ducati Monster S. So it's got the Olin suspension on it, which is really kick-ass. I did the ECU flash and the Termignoni exhaust, which gives a little more power, I think, with that. Stock, it was 147. I think now it's right at 154, something like that. But I think the wet weight's around 438 pounds on this thing. So just really a lot of fun. Done a few mods on it. Dang. Dog's raising hell over there. The main thing was this Corbin seat. The seat that came on it, quite honestly, was like a weapon of ass destruction. I couldn't go much more than about 100 miles before I had to come home. So this has kind of turned it into at least a 400-mile bike. Obviously not the most comfortable, but still gets the job done. I guess the other thing is these Rizoma foot pegs. They let the, I think I'm in the shadows here, aren't I? They allow the feet to go down about another inch, which doesn't seem like much, but an inch there, a couple inches here makes a big difference. Plus you can see this kind of curves up. The old tank was sloped down, which basically meant you were always running into the tank. Put these Rizoma bar end mirrors on here. Excuse the dirtiness, man. This thing really needs a bath. It's a lot dirtier than I like it to be, but just haven't had time to, wash it. I guess the other mod, the most expensive mod I've done on this thing, is these Marchesini, how do you pronounce it? Marchesini wheels. If you got a Ducati, you got to have gold wheels. That's just tradition, man. But these things are forged aluminum, a lot tougher than the, well, not tougher, but the wheels that came on it were, I guess, cast aluminum, made in China. And no Italian beauty queen should have Chinese wheels. So just kind of my perspective anyway. But yeah, it should be fun, man. It's December 3rd today. It's 70 degrees outside, so just a great fall, early winter day here in Texas. So anyway, looking forward to this. I guess I never really showed you guys my shop, but this is it. This is Gimply's garage. So I guess I want to do another video to kind of go over it in detail, but this is my setups, 1,200 square foot shop. It came with this place. We bought this place in 2019. So pretty happy with it. Just really happy to get out of town. We got about 5 acres here. It's a weight machine that I don't use as much as I should. Need to start using that. This is my KTM 1290 Super Adventure. This thing's a lot of fun. Been all over Colorado and Wyoming on it. Unfortunately, as you can see, I got a busted fork seal right now. You can kind of see it's already leaked out all the goo. So I got a seal kit for it. I just hadn't got around to putting it in. But anyway, this is a 2016, a lot of fun. I've said before, if I had to ever go down to one motorcycle, God forbid that ever happening, this would probably be the one. It is the Alpha. You can do anything on it. You can tour on it. You can take it off-road. You can just really beat the hell out of it, and it just keeps taking the abuse. I got these Jesse panniers on here, which hold a ton of stuff. I got a Moscow Moto 30-liter bag that I put on top. I also got the hard bag too, or the hard case over there on top that I use when Des is riding with me to give her a backrest. But yeah, this thing's a ton of fun. Got to get it back on the road. I just hadn't had time to do that yet, so that'll be one of my next projects. Pug windshield on this thing. I busted my factory windshield up in Wyoming 2 years ago. But yeah, the seal kit, these are the SKF seals. Everybody recommends those over stock. So I've had to put one set in at like 18,000 miles, and I only got 6,000 more, and this other one busted. So I don't know if it had some trash in it or what. I was on travel and came home and had oil all over the floor, so I didn't have a chance to run a lip seal in there and do anything with that. These are some of my other bikes. This is my 05 Softail. Bought it new at Longhorn Harley in, I guess, Arlington or Grand Prairie. Yeah, I guess technically Grand Prairie. This thing's great. Got about 45,000 miles on it. Obviously, it's been sitting here for a while collecting dust. I got an issue with the crankshaft. I had a charging issue. Took it apart, and inside the primary, my splines on my crank were stripped where the compensating sprocket backed off, and it just kind of, you know, wore out the splines on the crankshaft. So I got to decide what I'm going to do with that. I don't really know. I'm going to fix it, but I don't know if I want to go apeshit crazy and, you know, put a big stroker crank in it, make it a 120 and do that, or if I want to just put it back together and trade it in on one of these new M8s. I really like the Lowrider S, and I'm kind of leaning towards that, but TBD. Right beside it, this is my 75 Shovelhead FXE. I'm the third owner. I bought it from a friend of mine. When I bought it, it had been sitting for 10 years. I bought this about 3 years ago. But when he set it up, he drained the tank, drained the carb, so I got it running. It doesn't look like it, but it actually does run. But it's not roadworthy. I got to bleed the brakes, got to do a bunch of other stuff, and I really need to get off my ass and get this thing going. It's been sitting here for 3 years now, and I haven't done anything. So, need to do that. The video I posted yesterday, that was on this beast, my KTM 690 Enduro R 2017 model. It's just really a lot of fun, you know, modern dirt bike, been armored up. Like I said yesterday, I sprung the suspension for my size, did the P-Run Moto rack here on the back. That's a nice quality piece. Bark busters up front, Endurostand luggage, what else, touring windshield. Also put in the strengthened subframe bolts that hold the tank on, and that's also a known weak spot on these. So, and anyway, last but not least, Project 124, done a couple of videos on it. This is a 2020 Road Glide, highly modified, a lot of engine work, fuel moto 124 kit with a Cyclorama 480 cam. On the dyno, it was doing 122 horsepower, 139 foot-pounds of torque, so definitely stouter than stock. I really like this bike. It's kind of my go-to for commuting and long distance and everything in between. Also, probably can't see it here, but yeah, you can't really see. I've got a set of Öhlins 13-inch blackline shocks on it. Just really transformed the bike. I'm big on suspension because it's just some of the best money you can spend on your bike. I guess the other thing is I put a Rockford Fosgate system in here. I put these lowers on it even though it's not water cooled, so I could get another set of speakers on there. And spent a lot of money buying the wiring kit that would just splice into the factory radio because I didn't want to, you know, give up. Number one, I didn't want to cut the wiring harness, and number two, I didn't want to you know, have some half-ass rigged system in there. I still wanted to be able to see my TPS data, engine data, and all that stuff. I also put a tour pack on this thing because, like I said, this started out as a street glide, or excuse me, road glide. Not the special, not the ultra, just the road glide standard, I guess you would call it. And I kind of turned it into what I wanted, which I wanted something comparable to the ultra, but I didn't want water cooling because essentially that's useless on a Harley. Opinions vary, but in my opinion, it's just a solution for a non-existent problem. But anyway, with the tour pack, you know, got just as much luggage capacity with the 13-inch shocks, just got as much suspension travel, so really happy with that. This is a 54-inch bad boy Magnum mower over here, so that gets driven from time to time down here. But anyway, all good. Yeah, so that's a quick look at Gimply's garage. Probably do some videos in the future going over more detail, kind of explaining how I've got my work area set up and all that. So anyway, I guess back to the ranch. I'll get geared up, swap the camera over to my helmet, and we'll take the monster out for a spin. All right, gear is on. Time to lock up and see where the road takes us. Got the bike warming up. Got my little kit here that I carry with me all over the place. Can't really work on a Ducati on the side of the road. A little more complex than that with the Desmo drivetrain and everything else, but I can fix a flat. So I've got compressor and a tire patch kit in here. Obviously tubeless tires on this thing, so that makes it a little easier to work on. So I got a sweatshirt on today too. I don't think I really need it, but it's only 70 degrees, so probably be a little cool as we get to rolling. So, my billfold, yeah, I might need that. Alright, oh, idiot. Came out on the clutch a little too hard there, but we're back. Alright, up the driveway of death here. Got a motocross driveway with a naked superbike on it. This driveway sucks. Alright. All clear. All clear. Let's go. Man, this thing is sweet sounding. This exhaust, there's just nothing in the world that sounds like a Ducati as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I love the way my Harley sound, but, you know, a lot more meat with this thing. I really don't have any chosen route today, just hadn't been on this thing in a while. So we'll let her get up to speed, let the tires warm up, and then we'll cut up a little bit. Yeah, it's just such a different ride compared to the, you know, the Road Glide. You're pretty much behind the screen, almost like you're in a cockpit or something. And this thing, man, you're just out in the open. The wind blast is insane when you get up into triple digits, and this bike is not slow by any means. It's a really quick bike. We'll get into some of the specs later, but so I've always wanted a Ducati ever since I read Song of the Sausage Creature by Hunter S. Thompson in the, I believe it was the March '94 issue of Cycle World. That kind of alerted me to Ducati and what they were about. I already knew, but just the way he laid it out in plain English was amazing. That's obviously it's my favorite, and in my opinion, the best piece of motorcycle journalism that's ever been written, Song of the Sausage Creature by Hunter S. Thompson. But anyway, that got me jonesing for a Ducati, and like I said, finally got this one in 2020. This is a 2020 monster. Actually, I think I bought it in 21. I can't remember, but either way, you know, some 23, 20, 24, 25 years later, 26 years later, finally got one. So really happy with it. The handling on this thing is amazing. It can't really be put into words what it does. It just, you know, it's an amazing bike from a handling perspective. Haven't had to dive into the maintenance too much yet. Only got about 4,500 miles or so on it. So coming up on my first oil change. I mean, per Ducati, you don't have to change it until 9,000 miles, but fuck that. That's way too long. I changed my oil at 5,000 miles on everything except for my 690R. I probably change it about every 2,000 miles because it's in a harsher environment, you know, in the dirt. But anyway, this thing's a lot of fun. So we'll continue on here, letting the engine warm up, letting the tires warm up, and we'll touch base when we get to some curvy roads here in a minute. See you then. Hey folks, we are back. We are traveling south on FM 51. I believe we just entered Somerville County. But this road's fixing to get really curvy. It's one of my favorites in this area. They just resurfaced it last year, so it's in really good shape, or at least it was the last time I was down here. Right when you get past 205 right here is when it kind of gets pretty curvy, so we'll try to go through pretty quick without getting arrested. Plus, I don't really have my gear on. I've just got my tops, and I don't have my racing boots on or anything like that, so we don't want to get too crazy. But man, this is where the Ducati really shines. I mean, it's just, like I said, these kinds of roads are just what it was built for. And I just can't overstate how fun this thing is, man. It's just built for stuff like this. It's like it handles like it's on rails, and whenever it doesn't do something or it gets out of sorts, it's usually, you know, operator error, i.e. me. But yeah, this is some nice smooth asphalt, man. Boom! Yeah, it's hard to, it's easy to, you know, come into these curves pretty hot. I've had more than one oh shit moment on this road, but quite honestly, you got to be able to realize you're in too hot and then, you know, have your oh shit moment and then bounce back, because most bikes you're on don't run out of lean, you run out of scrotal capacity is what happens, if you know what I'm saying. And again, I don't claim to be fast, I don't claim to be anything except just a old fart having fun. This curve right here gets a lot of people in trouble too. Not this one, but the next one. Because if you're not careful, you good? I think they're good. We good? Yeah, okay. Yeah, that, well, I wasn't focusing on it, but if you hit that curve back there, you know, north of 50 miles an hour, you're just sliding, so easy to do. Just a decrease in radius and you don't realize it until you're on top of it. Yeah, this thing's got a quick shifter on it too, but I don't know. I've never had a quick shifter before. It's a lot of fun, but I also think they say it doesn't do anything, but in my opinion, it just, you're banging the shit out of your gear dogs when you use it. And this being a Ducati, I don't want to abuse it like that. I mean, I'm sure I could fix it if something went berserk, but you know, I'm not on a racetrack. The 0.00001 seconds it's going to take me to shift this thing using a clutch far outweighs, you know, any potential damage from using that quick shifter. But anyway, just my thoughts. Oh yeah, forgot about this one, the old switchback or switcheroo here. Yeah, baby. Like I said, just trying to I don't know if this is really the definition of taking it easy. Maybe for me it is, but if I was geared up with my pants and boots on, I'd probably be a little hotter coming through here, but you know, it is a public road, so you got to treat it accordingly. I'll get down to gear, lean, throttle on. There we go. You know, if you really watch the tack, I'm kind of short shifting this thing, man. This 1200 V-twin has got so much torque, it is just really insane, man. It's great all over the rev range. And I don't know, a lot of people think Ducati is some kind of unwieldy beast for riding around, but quite honestly, I'm comfortable on it, man. It is real high geared in first gear. You can tell it's made for the track and not the street. A lot of people go down a tooth in the front to give it a little lower gearing, and I've actually thought about that. You get a little chugga to it when you're, you know, moping around low, but honestly, I just left it as is. I'm kind of there's a lot of things I modify and other things I don't really modify, if that makes sense. So, alright, I got a traffic jam here. Nice. Some things I modify, some things I don't. You know, stock gearing and all, I usually leave it right where it is. I mean, I think this one is adequate enough, but this thing's also got a top end of about 155. You'd probably lose some of that if you lowered the gearing, obviously, which, you know, it's not like you're at 155 very often. I have been once or twice on this bike just because, you know, curiosity killed the cat and I gots to know. But it's also like you're in a wind tunnel or a hurricane at that speed trying to hang on. Good Lord, look at this, man. A lot of traffic. we're gonna run up here to 203 if I can ever get out of this intersection, so we will regroup at FM 203. Alright, FM 203. This is a pretty fun road. Not as fun as 51, but still got a few curves here on the high end, or on the north end. And then it's gonna carry us into Walnut Springs. I've seen a lot of deer on this road, so gotta watch out for that. This was in good shape. It's not quite as smooth asphalt as the 51 was. A little more textured, I guess would be the term. Either way, don't want to fall on either one. So past the cemetery, and then there's going to be a pretty good dip down here. I think this is where the low water crossing is. So I actually may have some in it today. No, probably was a couple of days ago with all the rain, but not bad now. Yeah, this curve sneaks up on you too. It's sort of a decrease in radius, I would call it, but and right here I came across this curve and saw about 3 deer standing right by this mailbox a few weeks ago. Oh yeah, good old Texas fall riding, man. It's hard to beat. Whoa, went a little wide there. In the wrong gear too. Need to pay attention and quit talking, I guess. But anyway, all safe as long as we don't go on the other side of the yellow line, which is kind of my goal every time I go out. Oh, snake, do you see that? Damn. Surprised he was out today. I guess the sun brought him out, but anywho. Yeah, I guess the thing about riding these kind of bikes is a lot of people get intimidated by the power, and you should be. I mean, you get going so fast, so quick, sometimes you may not register how fast you're going, and you come into corners too hot, especially if you don't know the road. I ride these roads a lot, so I kind of know where the curves are and what to expect. But I think the main takeaway is, like I tell everybody I ride with, even though I don't really ride with anybody anymore, but back in the day when I was riding with a group of sport bikes, it's just kind of tell everybody, hey, ride your own ride, man. It's not a race, it's not a contest. You know, ride within your skill level. And if you're going wide on corners and getting across the yellow line, or, you know, you can tell when you're riding above your skill level. Never put it on the limit on the street. You know, you need to save that for the track. And of course, I'm saying that I've never been on a track in my life. I would love to, but I just hadn't had the opportunity to do that. I guess with this bike, I could take it up. There's a track in Crescent. Was it Crescent Motorsports Park or something like that? I think there's another one in Decatur. Maybe try to do a track day up there sometime, but I guess I'd have to buy some leather pants or a suit because all my gear is pretty much textile. I do have a couple of leather jackets, but no, you know, not a full suit or not pants or anything like that to go with it. So I don't know, maybe if I could lose about 100 pounds, I would buy a leather suit, but until then, I guess I'll just keep riding on the street. But yeah, we are headed south from Glen Rose towards Walnut Springs. Like I said, this north part of 203 had a lot of good curves in it, but then it kind of straightens out like down here. There's still some gradual curves, but nothing quite as major as the tighter ones up there right out of Glen Rose. It's a really nice area down here. I like it. As you can see, not a whole bunch of traffic. Of course, it is Sunday, so everybody's probably watching football. Uh-oh. What do we got? Road work ahead. Hopefully nothing major. That's new. That wasn't here a couple of weeks ago. But I guess we'll see if they've even started yet. nothing yet, so maybe that's an old sign, I don't know. Anyway, we'll be in Walnut Springs here in a minute. We'll tag back up there. Alrighty. Just turned off FM 203 coming into Walnut Springs. Little bitty town down here. Fixing to be passing by the Rattlesnake Roadhouse. Pretty good joint to hang out at. Got really good food. They have a bunch of live bands, especially for somewhere out here in the middle of nowhere. I think they had Ted Nugent a while back. They've had, I think, Mark Chestnut, a couple of other larger size names. There's usually a bunch of bikes here, yep, and that's the same today. Obviously more of a Harley crowd, but you see a little bit of everything down here, so all good, you know. Looks like a lot of fun. Hadn't been in there in a while. It's probably been a month or so since I've been in there, but been so busy with work travel, hadn't had a bunch of time to do anything really. But anyway, that's pretty much Walnut Springs. There's a gas station out here on the end of town right before you turn back towards Iredell. I think I'm going to stop up here and get some gas, top off. I'm at 77 miles right now, but got a ways to go. But where we're going, there may not be any more gas for a few miles, and I get real skittish when I get over 100 miles on this thing, even though I could probably go 120 or more. I'm not sure, probably more than that, but no need chancing it. So 76 station. Did I say Shell? I don't know. Yeah, I've gotten gas here before a few times. Never had any problems, so we'll try that. Alrighty. Gas time. Alright, we're back. This is FM 1238, I believe. Leaving south out of Iredell, headed towards Cranfield's Gap. So this is a pretty cool road. It's got a bunch of sweepers on it. Nothing real technical, nothing real tight, but just a bunch of what I'd call high-speed sweepers, if that makes sense. It's a really fun road on the Road Glide, because the Road Glide really likes the long sweepers. But fun on the Ducati too. Just gotta watch your speed, or the next thing you know you're going 110 miles an hour. Very easy to do, especially on these long stretches down here. But this is getting down south. Like I said, this will come out just north of Cranfield's Gap on, I think it's FM 219 maybe, which is another good road. We may take that back to Heiko, we'll see. Yeah, I really enjoyed putting around on this thing, man. It's got plenty of power, sounds amazing, handles even more amazing. I guess about the only thing that I would consider a con on this thing is the, you know, it is a naked bike, so you don't really have any protection. You're kind of out in the wind, which doesn't bother me, but you have to do a lot more frequent helmet screen shield cleanings. Helmet shield is what I'm trying to say. And plus this GoPro, I don't know how it looks. It may have some bugs on it too, but on the lens, but we'll see when I upload the footage. Yeah, this thing's definitely got a firmly sprung suspension. I think it's okay for my weight. I don't think it needs any, you know, heavier spring, but I haven't really played with the preload enough to see if I'm where I need to be. I think it's pretty close, but every now and then I'll hit a bump, and man, it just, I don't think it bottoms out, but it feels like it's damn near doing it. So, may play with that at some point in the future. Man, this thing is fun. Catch a little air. Yeah, no. As I said, you got to be careful or you'll end up running 110 or maybe more. Got to get out there on the edge every now and then. But again, nowhere near the limit. But maybe on the edge. Yeah, slow down a little bit. This curve sometimes has a lot of trash in it, but it doesn't look like it does today. I don't mean trash, I mean just a lot of loose gravel sometimes. See, over here, like I was saying the other day, you got what I call the mesas, these, you know, kind of taller areas with a flat top. I guess some people call them a butte. I don't know, I've always called them mesas. I guess technically a butte is a smaller version of a mesa, so maybe that is what that is, I don't know. Check it out in the dictionary sometime. Cool area down here nonetheless. A lot of leaves falling too, I've noticed that. At our house we got a big giant cottonwood tree in the back and the leaves always fall on it early. And unfortunately it's right over the air conditioning unit, so it's kind of catch-22. It's great in summer because it gives the unit a lot of shade and it's not in direct sunlight. But then when you get to fall, you gotta go out there and blow all the leaves off of it and clean it out 2 or 3 times, or else you got leaves in the coils all over the place. I like a change of seasons, but I would always take hot weather over cold. I mean, mostly because I like to ride, but the issue down here in Texas is got a lot of friends up north that always talk about it getting too cold to ride and they have to put their bikes up. Well, we have the opposite problem. It gets too damn hot to ride down here. Because when it's over 100 degrees and you're sitting on 100 horsepower, that's just a miserable feeling unless you're out here like this where you're in continuous motion. As soon as you stop, you start overheating. Not the bike, but just yourself. And I try to stay hydrated, but sometimes it's hard to stay in front of it. So, but this time of year is really perfect down here. It's perfect during the day. The only problem this time of year, December and November, is if you leave midday or, you know, say around 10 o'clock in the morning, man, it is just, temperature is perfect, you know, 65, 70 degrees, and that's great. But then if you're not back home before the sun starts setting, then you get really cold. So, I guess it's kind of like being the opposite of a vampire, right? You want to get home before it gets dark. Anyway, just my take on it. And see, breaking the speed limit again. This thing is just so smooth at speed. It's very, very hard to drive at the speed limit even when it's 70 miles an hour, because the thing just wants to go, man. I'd mentioned earlier it's kind of high geared, especially in first gear, but it just never runs out of steam, man. It just keeps wanting to go. I know all the newer Ducati sport bikes, all the high-end sport bikes, they have the V4 now, making over 200 horsepower, and I'm sure that's awesome. And I would love to have one, just because
I don't need it, but I'd love to have one anyway. May do that at some point in the future. Ducati pricing's gotten so crazy though. I mean, unless you're going to make a track weapon out of it, it's just like they cost twice as much as other bikes. And I mean, there's a premium, I get that, but if you look at like a Yamaha R1, is a Panigale V4, not even the S, but just the V4 standard, you know, at $25,000, is it $8,000 more bike than the Yamaha R1? I don't know. Maybe if you're Valentino Rossi or Marc Marquez it is, but for mortals like us, I don't know that you'd get the bang for the buck out of it. But motorcycles are very rarely a, what's the word I'm looking for? You're very rarely purchasing one out of necessity. It's not a necessary purchase. It's a purchase because you want it or because you're passionate about it. I think most people looking at those types of bikes, unless they're just so rich they got money to throw away on, nobody's looking at a Panigale or R1 unless they're really into motorcycling. At least I would think so. I mean, I guess maybe some people want to have a garage queen or something like that, but all bikes are made to ride, in my opinion. So whatever I buy, I don't try to shy away from putting the miles on it, but like I mentioned in the video the other day, on my 690, I don't have many miles on it because I'm always riding my 1290, and on this bike I've got right at 5,000 miles on it. But I did the engine on the Road Glide last year, and I spent a lot of time on it just because it was kind of new and fresh, but I definitely need to put a lot more miles on this thing this year. It's been so busy the last couple of years, my mileage has been way down compared to what it used to be. I track all that, and I've only ridden about, I think, right at 5,000 miles this year. And this time 10 years ago, I was getting between 10 and 15,000 miles a year. So it's decreased by, you know what, 66%, which I obviously need to correct that. And I'm hoping that I can next year. Every year I say I'm going to ride more and more, but it seems to get busier and busier every year, no matter what. So anyway, we're kind of at a crossroads right here. If we go south here, that carries you to Cranfield's Gap where the Horny Toad is. But we're going to jump on 219 here and head back towards Heiko. Horny Toad's great. I go down there a lot of times. It's a great place to grab a beer and a burger. They got good food, good everything else. But just ate before we left the house, so we head back north. Not sure where I'm going. Maybe make about a 80 or 100 mile loop out of this, but we'll see. It's alright, so I'm going to tap out here and I'll tap back in when we find some more curves. Alright, passing through Martin's Gap right now, or what used to be known as Martin's Gap. I guess it's technically Ferry, maybe, I can't remember. Anyway, got a couple of curves here past the old graveyard, then we just downhill into more straightaways. So I just turned north back there off of FM 219, headed back towards Heiko, I believe. Yeah, this is 1602, FM 1602, which will come out on 281 just south of Heiko. Pretty decent road. Ridden this one a lot before. Like I said, just a lot of fun out here on this little bitty bike. This thing handles so good, man. It's like it's on rails. Real easy to flick around, and lightweight, a lot of power, but with the suspension to back it up. So friggin' V-twin, man, you can really just leave it in one gear. Uh-oh, got some trash here. No gravel, just dust. Yeah, firm suspension there. You can feel every little, whatever you want to call it, bump in the road. Really enjoy riding out here away from quote-unquote civilization, right? Less traffic. Got to watch out for animals though. Wide open space. Well, ended up being a pretty good ride today. I think I'm gonna have, let's see, yeah, about 107, 108 miles by the time I get home. It always seems a lot quicker doing 100 miles on this bike than any of my other bikes, because it's kind of infectious with the speed on this thing. But all in all, pretty good day. Had a good time. Enjoy getting out on this thing. Got to do it more often. About time for an oil change on this too. Like I said, I change every 5,000 miles, so I'm at like 4,800 right now or something like that. So probably go ahead and do that, but I may do like the like I mentioned on my previous video on the 690, I may hold off and just do it in February, closer to spring riding season, because these bikes, every time it's sunny outside, I get to ride, but my least amount of riding is during January and February, because that's typically the coldest down here. And of course, it's December today, December, what, 3rd? So, still warm at the moment, but I'm quite sure it's going to change drastically in the next few weeks. But you never can tell. That's one thing about living down here in Texas. You always get an outlier like today, where it's sunny and 70 degrees, and man, it's just perfect outside. I wish somehow it could be 70 to 75 degrees every day. That would be perfection. But anyway, I guess if you want to live somewhere where that's year-round, that's great. But typically those places are close to the water and don't have any curves, which kind of makes our cause not really fun for our cause of being on the bikes and finding some apexes. But anyway, all good. So yeah, let's see. Yeah, oh man, I skipped it. 107, yeah, 108 exactly now. I'm pulling back onto our road, so that's a pretty good little hop. Like to stay out for more, but I got a few things to do this afternoon before going back to the real world tomorrow. Gotta go back to work and pay for all this stuff. Man, this thing is fast. Sneaky fast. And of course, as always with all our rides, it ends with some off-roading on the driveway of death here. Not real fun on this little short wheelbase Ducati, but we'll make it. This damn driveway looks like something out of Afghanistan that got carpet bombed. Alright, we are back. Well, it was a fun ride. And as always, thanks for riding along. See you on the next one.